Welcome to the Wyoming Women's Business Center's new Artist Insight series. This is the first of the series, so I'm so happy to be here. Today's topic is creating your holiday marketing plan, and we have Jennifer Power of Jennifer Power Art and Design with us as a guest. My name is Jessica Brower, and I'm the marketing director at the Wyoming Women's Business Center, and I'll be chatting with Jennifer this afternoon. So before we get started, I want to point out the Zoom control panel, likely on the top or the bottom of your screen. I want to call attention to both the questions and the chat function. If you have any comments or questions throughout the webinar today, I'd like you to use those to communicate with us. This webinar is being recorded, and a link to the recording will be sent out to all registrants shortly after we get off the live event today. You can also visit our website at www.wyomingwomen.org and navigate to the training tab to view all upcoming webinars and past webinar recordings. These are available to you at no cost. If you're joining us live, a survey will launch shortly after we close the presentation. If you could, please complete that. The survey provides us and our funding partners with really valuable information. And as a reminder, all participants are muted to minimize any background noise. So once again, if you have any questions or comments during the presentation, which I hope you do, please type them in the chat box or questions panel. So let's go over some information about the WWBC, just in case you aren't familiar with us already. We're a nonprofit organization, and our mission is to enable and empower Wyoming's entrepreneurs with a special emphasis on women. We do that through 3 distinct programs. The first is our business counseling and training program, which is always free to Wyoming's entrepreneurs and artists. The second is our microloan program, which offers loans from $500 to $50,000 for businesses that have been denied from a traditional lending source. And third is the Artist Development Center that we run in conjunction with the Works of Wyoming store that's here in downtown Laramie. And what I really want to get across to you this afternoon is that we specialize in what's called micro enterprises. So what is a micro enterprise? It's a business that has less than 6 employees, and the majority of these are 1 or 2 person businesses. And these businesses typically launch for under $35,000. So businesses like yoga studios, hairstylists, in-home daycare providers, marketing consultants, cleaning services. And this also includes artists, designers, makers, much like the guests we're going to feature on this Artist Insights series. These are all examples of our clients. So if you're not already a client of the WWBC and you'd like to become one, it's quick and easy. You can sign up by going to wyomingwomen.org and clicking on that Sign Up Now button. It's at the top of the page. Or if you'd rather contact us one-on-one, you'll find some contact information at the end of this presentation. One more thing before we get started, I want to call some special attention to the Wyoming Arts Council, whose financial support allows us to continue to support Wyoming's artists with the WWBC Artist Development Center, the Works of Wyoming store, and this educational series. So with that, we're going to meet Jennifer. I'm going to read a brief bio from her, and then we'll get into some questions. So Jennifer says, I've been creating artwork since I was small, but cultivated my work through my BFA in graphic design, continued education, and personal exploration. I make loose and colorful floral or nature-inspired watercolors, along with ceramics of the same subjects. These 2 mediums couldn't be more different, but I can express the beauty and joy of nature in each. I work quickly and loosely with inspiration right in front of me, for example, a beautiful flower, or use my memory to create the florals, trees, or leaves I remember. I create what brings me enjoyment in the moment. Through my journey, I found what brings me happiness, and I hope my work will bring you a smile, a sense of calmness, and a bit of nature into your space. So thank you so much for joining me today, Jennifer. I'm excited to dive into our conversation.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to talk about some holiday marketing.
Yeah. Okay, so first up, oftentimes I've found that artists don't consider themselves to be entrepreneurs, despite the work that they've done to launch and sustain a business for their craft, comparable to any other industry. So tell me about how your art turned into an entrepreneurial adventure for you.
Yeah, so I think I have a similar journey to a lot of artists out there. I've always been creative and enjoyed making things for pretty much as long as I can remember. But I did start in high school, dabbling in selling some of my artwork. And so just kind of got a taste for it then. And then I did get my degree in graphic design. And luckily that was through the art department at my university. So I did get to continue and take art classes while I was pursuing my degree in graphic design. So that was a really fun way for me to explore some new areas as well. After I graduated, I did in-house graphic design for 7 years. So I kind of did that corporate life for quite a while. And then just to, it wasn't fulfilling for me. It wasn't giving me what I needed from my career. So I decided to quit my job. And I didn't have anything planned for afterwards. It just felt like a now or never kind of situation. So that is when I started seriously selling my work and creating a business for myself to help support me. And I do it right now. I do it part-time, but you never know, that might increase in the future time-wise. But one thing I did want to point out is I did set up my business as an LLC. And I know we kind of talk about that entrepreneurship with artists, but that was something that was important to me to kind of get things set up more officially as well, so I could house all my efforts under that umbrella and be able to really build a business for myself. So that was in December of 2019 that I started this journey. So it's been definitely an interesting ride, but I think there's been some really great opportunities that have come through, starting a business in early 2020.
Yeah, I was going to say, what a year to start a business.
Yeah.
But I know that you're not alone. A lot of us have seen businesses starting or adjusting how they operate because of what we all know has happened over the last year and a half or so. So today specifically, we're here to talk about creating a holiday marketing plan, which I know is a task that you're familiar with. And I think, for some folks, they may think, oh my gosh, it's only September. Why are we talking about the holidays? Um, but I'm of the belief that, now's the time to start. So before we dive into your tips for doing this, why do you think it's important for you as an artist and for other artists to start early and to make a plan before the holiday season to sell their works?
Yeah, I just think it's so important to start ahead of time so you can really plan and think through your strategy of your marketing plan. You can be a little bit more strategic when you have more time. It's not feeling like you're as reactive to, sudden changes or things that come up. So you kind of have a little bit of time to plan out what you would like the holiday season to look like from a marketing standpoint. And then I think it also gives you time to plan and prep for a budget for marketing. Maybe you want to try some paid advertising or upgrade one of your softwares or tools to help you with your plan that you're developing for this holiday season. So it can be a great time to sit back and kind of look over things and figure out how much you could spend on marketing, if you need to find resources for that money. You have a little bit of time to prep. So that way you're not feeling too crunched right when holiday season gets started.
Yeah, so it sounds like for you, it starts early with kind of an analysis of where you're at financially, how things have gone in the past, and taking a look at how you're prepared. So when you go about building these marketing plans for the holidays, how does that look for you?
Um, so I definitely have a kind of routine thought process, steps that I go through as I'm developing a holiday marketing plan. One of the biggest things, which is also why it's important to start early, is determining what you're going to have for sale for the holidays. And I know I'll make specific small batch ceramic ornaments, or maybe I want to, launch some new watercolors for the holiday season, and time just always seems to get away from me. So having that plan early and kind of thinking through what you want to have available for the holiday season is my first step. And it could just be evaluating what you have currently and how you want to incorporate that into the holiday season, or maybe you want to order something new or make some new products. So it just gives you time to kind of plan that aspect of it as well, as far as inventory and what you're making. And then from there, I typically think through my different sales channels. So, this year I might do a holiday market. I'm going to launch things on my website for sale. I might try social media as a tool for selling my art. So I just go through those different ideas I have of where I can sell my art. If it's up in a gallery, if you have a physical space, how you can direct people there to purchase your work. So kind of, yeah, step one, getting what you're going to have for sale. Step two, thinking through where these items are going to be sold, whether it's online or in person. And then step three for me is usually planning marketing around step one and two. So, planning different channels that I can use, different tools I can use to promote purchasing my work in these different areas, who you're targeting. If you're selling online, you might target a different audience than, a craft show or art show or things like that. So kind of taking all this into consideration and picking out what your strategy is and what you want your outreach to look like. And then step four would be building out the creative, making designs, prepping any graphics you might need for your email marketing or social media, and just kind of getting all those things prepped. Maybe you need new photos of some of your work. So you could kind of plan out what you need and how you can go about executing some of the creative aspects of your marketing plan. And then it just gets into the implementation of it, and kind of making a schedule. You can work back from, if you have an event coming up on a certain date, work back and maybe create a calendar just to help yourself keep track of what day you want to send your email out. Maybe you want to do a reminder on social media, do some stories or reels, things of that sort. So I like to have a calendar just to kind of keep me on track and keep me organized for the whole season.
Awesome. I'm a big fan of the calendar myself. I'm old school though. I'm all about pencil and paper. I can't seem to make the digital calendars work for me.
Yeah, I'm definitely the
same. So you mentioned picking, channels to market your products on. Do you have any favorite channels that you like to use?
I would say social media is a fun one to experiment with. They're always coming out with new options. I think I mentioned Reels, which are short videos you can add music to. Those have been kind of fun to try. And then kind of the classic for me, email marketing, letting your audience know of a new product, or if you're doing any kind of sales or promotions. That one I feel like is a really effective way to reach your audience that is interested in your work. So that's kind of a classic one for me.
Awesome. Yeah, so I often share with folks that I believe marketing is kind of a big experiment, and that oftentimes we have to just go into it with the idea that we're going to, test something out and see how it works. And sometimes it doesn't work, and sometimes it comes with a lesson learned or a new skill or a lesson that you don't want to do a thing again. So I'm curious if in moving through these marketing campaigns, particularly around a busy holiday season, what has been an impactful lesson that you've learned?
So I would say the first one is that you can plan for what you want to do, but it might not always happen the way you have it planned. So don't beat yourself up if you can't keep to your calendar exactly that you have planned out. Things happen, and sometimes it just doesn't work exactly the way you thought it would. But I would say that doing something is better than doing nothing. So if you do get off track from your plan that you originally had, I would just encourage you to go back and pick up where you can, because it's important to keep it going. And yeah, if it's not exactly the way you had it planned, that's okay. It is all an experiment, like you mentioned, and it's always good to at least try some new things, see what happens. I've had many things that I've done that haven't really gone to plan, but you're right, you can learn something from it, whether it's not to do it again or whether you're hoping to get website sales, but maybe you get more followers on Instagram. Or I've been at art sales where I didn't sell as much as I was hoping to, but I got a lot of people on my email list. So there's usually some kind of silver lining to all your efforts. So just try to keep an eye out for those. If it doesn't go exactly as planned, you can definitely learn from what you try this season and implement into your marketing all year long, or try something else next holiday season and see if that works better.
Awesome. I love that. So, regardless of industry, if you're an artist or if you're a business owner in another capacity, um, marketing is oftentimes the last thing on that big monster to-do list, and for good reason. You're running a business. Maybe you're making your art part-time, and then you're also trying to run a business. So I'm curious, Jennifer, what are some of your favorite tools or tricks of the trade to make your life easier and to get these marketing efforts complete?
Yeah, so one tip, because I come from a graphic design background, I did want to mention branding and kind of that consistency of having a certain look to the materials you put together, either for your business as a whole, or if you don't have a logo and colors and elements that you can play off of, maybe you just set something up for this holiday season and create graphics that look like they come from the same company. It really helps people kind of follow the story that you're telling through your different marketing efforts. And I just think it's really, really important. So I do want to mention that. And I do have a tool that makes it easy to do branding. And that's Canva. And I know that the Women's Business Center has some tutorials and more information on Canva, but they have a free version, or you can upgrade to a paid version. You can upload your logo. You can use your own custom colors if you have that. So it's a really easy way to make graphics. They have preset templates, or you can find sizes of different elements that you would need to make through them. And then it's also super helpful if you need a way to just like crop and edit photos, because you can upload your photos in there, place it in a document and size it to how you need. You can adjust it. If it's a little too dark, you can brighten it up. So that can be really helpful for artists as well. So you can get pictures of your work and just tweak it so you can use it in your different marketing materials. And
Yes.
then
Oh,
I would say my next tip is to schedule as much as you can ahead of time and let things auto publish or auto send for you. So a lot of the email platforms, if you use one of those, which there's a ton of free versions. So there's a lot of benefits to using an email platform like MailChimp, Constant Contact, something like that. And you can set up an email and then pick a time for it to send, and it'll just send on that day and time. So you don't have to go in and, when it's getting really busy towards the holiday season, you don't have to get in there and send it. It'll do it for you. And the same goes for social media. You can schedule that out ahead of time. Facebook has that option now. You can schedule through them, and it will post on a certain day and time. And then I've also used later.com, and you can add all your accounts. You can even add Pinterest or LinkedIn and some of those other social media accounts, and it will also post for you. So it's a really easy way. When you have your calendar, you can go through and spend a couple hours one day scheduling things out, and you'll have it for a couple weeks of your plan already ready to go, and it'll just post it for you. So I find that super helpful.
Awesome. Yes, I'm all about scheduling. I think it's a game changer for sure. And I'm glad that you mentioned Canva, especially as a graphic designer. I feel like for you to mention it, I feel like there's no reason for us all not to take take it into our toolbox. And as you mentioned, if anyone's interested in those Canva tutorials, it's called the Canva Crash Course, and it's on the Wyoming Women's Business Center. Wow, on our YouTube, and you can watch those for free. And I'm a big fan. I also use Canva. This new, if you've joined us on these webinars before, we have new PowerPoint template, and it was made on Canva as well. It's a great tool. Okay, so I always encourage folks to spend time looking at what their peers are doing, whether those are their friends, their peers in small business that are just down the street, or admirable businesses that are, of any size and maybe outside of their inner circle, maybe in a different town, in a different country even. Social media allows us to take a look at what they're doing. So I'm curious, who do you follow for inspiration on marketing as an artist?
Yeah, so I definitely follow my fellow local artists. Um, at the art walk this year, I made sure to go and follow everyone I could that was participating. And it's just nice to kind of have that local community feel so you can see what your fellow artists are doing in the same area. But I do agree that having inspiration from outside your community is great too. You see a different perspective. So one artist that I follow is Cray, and she does watercolor art. She just has beautiful work and a super positive and uplifting Instagram. So I do love to follow her, and she gives me some inspiration for my watercolors. And then another great, which is kind of a different way to go about it, but if you have certain brands that you like to follow, so I follow Amico Glaze, and so they make ceramic glaze. And so their account obviously is showcasing their products, but they feature a lot of different artists. So it's kind of a nice way you follow one account and you can see what other ceramic artists are doing. And so I've started following some of the artists that they feature. So it's just kind of a nice way to get some other inspiration that maybe you haven't found before.
Awesome, that's great. And if anybody who's joining us live or watching the recording, Jennifer's social media and website information is on the screen. So if you want to follow her for inspiration, you have the information to do it, and I highly suggest doing so. So before I open it up to questions from the audience, I have a couple of quick, I wouldn't call them rapid fire, but kind of rapid fire questions that I'm excited to ask you. These questions come from author Kelly Corrigan, and they're on cultivating meaningful and impactful conversations with the connections that we meet briefly, much like how we're all connecting with Jennifer here today. Or, imagine having those conversations with somebody that you bump into at the grocery store or meet at the airport. So I've modified them slightly, but I'm excited to hear your perspective. So first is, what do you know about being an artist in Wyoming?
So I know that it's challenging but rewarding. And I feel like that's what makes it fun to do is you get to do something you love, but it's not all I don't know, the words are escaping me, but it's not always as, bright and shiny as people might think, but it's definitely worth it in the end to keep pushing forward and trying new things and seeing where you can go with your art and your business.
Awesome, I love that. What do you want from being an artist in Wyoming?
I want to share my talents with the community and also make a living doing what I love.
Wonderful. And what do you love about being an artist in Wyoming?
I love living in a unique place that provides me a lot of inspiration, and then meeting and getting to know my fellow Wyoming artists I feel like that community is really, really a fun thing to be a part of.
Awesome. I feel like that's a gift for all of us here in Wyoming. We're small but mighty and get to connect to each other in avenues like this, which is wonderful. So with that, I'm going to open it up to audience questions. So go ahead and use that Q&A section on your Zoom control panel, and we will start addressing those. There's some contact information here on the left. If you are interested in chatting with one of our business counselors here, Jonathan's information is on the top. Or if you had some questions for me, my information is there on the bottom. And while you type those questions into the Q&A panel, I'm just going to go over a little bit more information. The WWBC is made possible through several partnership agencies. Our primary funding comes from the U.S. Small Business Administration and the Wyoming Business Council, as well as these organizations whose logos you see here. We're so thankful for their support and their guidance of these partners and really look forward to the work ahead. And if you've enjoyed this webinar or any of our other webinars, we have lots of topics coming up, including this continued Artist Insights series. So remember, you can visit our website at wyomingwomen.org and click on the training tab to register for these. They're always free. You'll see we have 7 options to access money for your small business, 15 tips for writing effective email marketing copy. The next Artist Insights is building your shop small campaign. So we'll talk about local shopping and partnering with agencies in your community that are really trying to drive local holiday shopping sales to their artists. I have Robert Bryans, an artist here in Laramie, who I'll be chatting with. And then ready to start a business. So maybe you want to dive into your business plan and to work a little bit more on this. That's a great place to start. So I'm going to go ahead and check and see if we have any questions. It doesn't look like we do. So thank you all so much for joining me, and you especially, Jennifer. When we close this webinar, we're going to go ahead and launch a survey. It'll pop up on your screen automatically. It's just a quick 6-question survey, and I ask that you stay online and complete it for us. We read each of these surveys, and it helps us plan our upcoming calendar and improve our offerings. Thank you all for attending on what could have been your lunch hour. I very much so look forward to continuing this series and hopefully seeing you again soon. And I hope you go and find Jennifer and follow along with her. Thank you.